Okay. Good morning. So earlier we have learned Biot-Savart law and also used it to derive expression for magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor, a straight one, and also by a circular coil. So what we are going to learn today is we will be learning Ampere's law, Ampere's circuital law, and also we will learn a new effect called Hall effect. In electrostatics, you have learned Coulomb's law, and it was a tedious task to derive a lot of expressions using Coulomb's law. And later you learned Gauss's law, which can be used for continuous distribution of charges as well. While Coulomb's law, you could use only for discrete charge distributions. So Biot-Savart law we can use only if we have one single straight conducting wire or the current due to one coil or a few turns of coil. Now if there are more complex circuits, then you will have to use Ampere's law. So today let us see what is Ampere's law, and it will make the problem simpler to solve. So let me share the screen with you. So today we are going to learn Ampere's law. So what does Ampere's law state? The line integral of magnetic field along a closed path is equal to mu naught times the total current enclosed by the area of the closed path. So this is how we represent the line integral of a closed path. See, line integral of the magnetic field along a closed path. For example, suppose this is a conductor carrying current. First point is that we have to consider a closed path which encloses the current carrying conductor. So here you can see on dotted lines, this is a closed path, and inside the area covered by this closed path, you have a conductor carrying current, I. Then the line integral of magnetic field B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. Now, you know what is mu naught. What is mu naught? It is the permeability of free space.
Permeability of
Of vacuum or free space, and its value is, what is its value? Mu naught have a value? Do you remember the value of mu naught? Mu naught is equal to 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. And B, you know, is magnetic field, and I is the electric current flowing through this conductor. Now, the line integral of the closed path dot dl means the total path length. So, always when we are using Ampere's law, we have to consider an imaginary closed path, and we have to integrate over the length of the closed path. Let us see how we can derive Ampere's law from Biot-Savart law. From Biot-Savart law, you have derived the field due to a long straight wire as B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. We represented here A, where A is the distance from the conductor to the point of consideration. Here this length is considered as r. That is why they express the equation as B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. Now here we know that for any straight wire carrying conductor, we can have the magnetic field B. Okay, so for any current carrying conductor, we can have the magnetic field B. And how can we get the direction of the magnetic field? You have to use the right hand thumb rule. So you have to take your right hand and then you have to hold your thumb in the direction of the current. So here you have current going up. So the magnetic field will be given by the direction in which your fingers curl. So here you can see that when I put my thumb up, my fingers curl in this direction. So this is the direction of the magnetic field. So here this is the direction of the magnetic field, and dl, length of the conductor, also varies like this. So both B and dl are in the same direction. So when we put dot dl on this side, what will be B dot dl? You have learned in vectors, right? What is A dot B? You have learned vector multiplication, the dot product between two vectors. What is A dot B? AB?
A dot B means dot product, that means cos theta come.
AB cos theta. So similarly, B dot dl will be B dl cos theta, but theta is 0 here. Why? B and dl are in the same direction, right? So we can write, what is cos 0? 1. So this will become equal to B dl. So B dot dl you can represent as B dl. And also when you integrate for the whole surface or whole length dl, so what they have done is on either side of this equation, they have taken closed integral dl. So when you take closed integral B dot dl, you will get mu naught I by 2 pi r into closed integral dl. What is meant by closed integral dl? That is the total length of this path. So if r is the radius of this circular path, what will be the total length of the path? If r is the radius of the circular path, what will be the total length? It will be the circumference of this circle, right? So it is 2 pi r. So for closed integral dl, they have represented it as 2 pi r. So that implies line integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I, 2 pi r gets cancelled from the numerator and denominator. So you end up with this Ampere's law. This is how we can derive Ampere's law from Biot-Savart law. Is that clear? What is Ampere's law? Rifat, is Rifat there? Can you tell me what is Ampere's law?
The line integral of a magnetic field along a closed path is equal to mu naught times the total electric current enclosed by the area of closed path.
Yeah, it will be mu naught times the current enclosed. Suppose you have a conductor, this conductor is not inside this loop, it is outside. Suppose here. Will there be any magnetic field due to it? If you are considering this path?
No.
No. So only the currents which are enclosed by the closed path will be considered. Now, if you have 3 or 4 wires here, so you can take a big circle that encloses all those conductors. That is the difference between Biot-Savart law. Biot-Savart law gives you only the magnetic field due to one single straight wire carrying conductor. Suppose you have a complex set of conductors in different shapes, then you cannot use Biot-Savart law. But if you are using Ampere's law, what you can do? You can consider a closed path that covers all of them. And you can use the line integral over all of them, then you will get, and you have to use the total current in all of them. So what will you get? You will get the magnetic field. So even if the situations are very complex, you can use Ampere's law instead of Biot-Savart law. Is Ampere's law clear to you?
Yes, teacher.
So I will ask you tomorrow what is Ampere's law, both the statement and the equation. Okay. So let me go to the next topic, that is Hall effect. So this will be totally new to you. Have you heard of Hall effect before?
No.
No. So Hall effect was discovered by Edwin Hall in 1879. See, even before we learned that the current is carried by electrons, even before discovering that current is carried in a conductor by electrons, at that time, this effect was discovered by a scientist called Edwin Hall. Current was already known to people, to scientists, even before we discovered about the protons, neutrons, and electrons. So at that time, he also discovered an effect called Hall effect. Let us see what is meant by Hall effect. When a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then a voltage or potential difference is developed perpendicular to both the current and magnetic field. This phenomenon is called Hall effect. Okay, so what do we need? We need a current carrying conductor, and it should be placed in a magnetic field. So here you can see in this figure a piece of conductor. Okay, actually a conducting wire will be very small and usually it will be in a circular shape, but here we have shown a magnified image of a piece of conductor so that we can understand the concept clearly. Now what is J? What is J here? Do you remember what is J? We have learned J.
Current density.
Yes, exactly. Current density. That is the current per unit cross-sectional area of the conductor. Now, why they have represented here J? They have represented here J, the current density along the x-axis, and a magnetic field B is applied along the y-axis. Why did they use J, current density, instead of current I? Can you give any explanation for that? Current
Because current density is the current flowing per unit area.
per unit area. It has one more
Yeah.
property, which is not there for current.
There is no
Current is a scalar quantity. Even if it has a direction, it is a scalar quantity. Current density is a vector quantity. So this time when they are representing current along a particular direction, that is in x direction, we have represented it with current density. So current density will be also in the same direction as current, but it is a vector quantity. Now in this figure, you can see current in the x direction and the magnetic field is in the y direction, By. Okay, and you have a piece of conductor placed in the presence of a magnetic field. So you have a current carrying conductor, this yellow piece, and it is placed in a magnetic field B, which is in the y direction. Now what happens when the current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field? So here there is an explanation how Hall effect occurs or why there is Hall effect. When in a magnetic field current passes through a conductor, the charge carriers move. That is what we call a current. So the charge carriers move. Then the charge carriers experience a magnetic force. You already learned that when a charge carrier is moving in a magnetic field, it will experience a force. Who can tell me the force experienced by a charge carrier placed in a magnetic field? The expression for force experienced by a charge Q placed in a magnetic field. What is that expression?
QV cross V.
Q into V cross B or QVB sine theta. So here you know that the charge carriers, here it is shown negative. What is this? Electron. So the electron which is moving will experience a force, right? As a result, the charge carrier deflect from its original path. Suppose a charge carrier is moving in one direction and it experiences a force. Suppose a charge carrier is moving like this and it experiences a force in perpendicular to it. What will happen? It will undergo deflection. And when it undergo deflection from its original path, it gets accumulated on one side. Now, how can we know in which direction it will get deflected? Here we have to use Fleming's left hand rule. So according to Fleming's left hand rule, you have to take the left hand. If you are taking the right hand, you will get a wrong result. So always take your left hand. And you have to keep your thumb, your first finger, and also your second finger perpendicular to each other. Okay? And then your first finger represents the direction of the magnetic field and the second finger represents the direction of the current. Okay? Then your thumb will give you the direction of the force. Is that clear to you? Fleming's left hand rule. Maybe you have studied this in grade 10 before, but this is just a revision. So whenever a current is flowing in the X direction, I'm keeping my first finger, the current. So second finger in the direction of the current. So X is in the X direction. Then By, the magnetic field is in the Y direction. So in which direction will it experience a force? If the current is in the X direction.
Upward direction.
In the upward direction or in the Z direction, positive Z direction. Is that clear? So how did we get the direction of the force experienced by the charged particle? That is by using Fleming's left hand rule. So if you are keeping the first finger in the direction of the magnetic field, second finger in the direction of current, then your thumb will always direct in the direction of motion of the charge carrier. So here, the charge carrier, which is an electron, will experience an upward force. So if the charges, all the electrons experience a deflection upwards, what will happen? They get accumulated on one side. So what charge will get accumulated on the other side? If negative charge gets accumulated on one side, what charge?
Positive.
Positive charge, the opposite charge will get accumulated on the other side. So now if you connect a voltmeter across these two ends, you will find a voltage developed. Okay, or a potential difference, because this is like a battery or a cell, right? There are positive and negative on either side. Now when you connect a voltmeter here, you can find a voltage or a potential. So this is how a potential difference is developed between the two sides of a conductor. So when in a magnetic field, current passes through a conductor, the charge carriers, whether they are electrons or protons, whatever, or any charge, positive or negative charge, then the charge carrier will experience a magnetic force. And the magnetic force will be perpendicular to both the current and the magnetic field, and its direction can be obtained by Fleming's left hand rule. And as a result, the charge carriers deflect from their original path and they accumulate on one side. See, if on one side the negative charge is accumulated, on the other side, naturally a positive charge will be accumulated. And thus a potential difference is developed between the two sides of the conductor. This is called Hall effect. Now I told you, if you connect a voltmeter here, you can measure the voltage. That voltage is called Hall voltage. So what is a Hall voltage? When a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then the potential difference or voltage which is developed perpendicular to both the current and magnetic field is called the Hall potential or Hall voltage. Is that clear to you?
Yes, teacher, can you please explain again what is exactly the Hall effect?
What is Hall effect? Hall effect
Yeah,
just states that if you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, then a potential difference is developed across both ends of the current carrying conductor. This is called Hall effect. And here we have shown an explanation why Hall effect happens. Okay, so
okay, teacher.
here we have shown with the diagram why or how Hall effect happens. Because when there is current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, what will happen? Current carrying conductor means there will be charges moving inside that conductor. So if they are placed in a magnetic field, we learned that a charge carrier will experience a force. So in addition to its motion, it is experiencing a force in a direction perpendicular to its motion. So what happens? It gets pushed from its original path and they get deflected. Okay, so that deflection causes the charge carrier to accumulate on two opposite sides of the conductor. So when there are two charges separated, the two opposite charges are separated, and if they stay like that, what will happen? A potential difference is developed across the conductor. Is that clear, Irfan?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, let me ask some questions. Okay, Bibi, tell me what is Hall effect? Bibi, tell me what is Hall effect?
When a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then a voltage or potential difference is developed perpendicular to both current and magnetic field is called Hall effect.
Okay, then Ronnie, can you tell me why a Hall effect happens?
Sorry, teacher, I just joined.
You just joined, right? Okay, South, tell me why or how a Hall effect occurs.
Teacher, by placing a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field.
Okay, why? Why it happens? Question is why?
Oh, because they deflect from
What deflect?
when the magnetic field passes through a conductor, the charges move.
Yeah.
Then the charges
Magnetic field is
experience
applied
magnetic.
across a current carrying conductor. Okay, the charges. Okay.
Yeah. Then the charge carriers experiences a magnetic force. That is why the charge carriers deflect from the original path
Yes.
and they go to one side. So if
Okay.
in one side the positive goes, other side the negative. So due to that, a potential difference occurs
Okay, it's between
between
the
the two ends.
sides of a conductor. Very good. And now, Muhammad Zaman, can you tell me or define Hall voltage?
When a carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then the potential difference of which is developed between it's perpendicular with the current and the magnetic field.
That is
Then it is
called
called the Hall voltage.
voltage.
Hall
Okay,
voltage.
that's called the Hall voltage. And who can tell me Fleming's left-hand rule? Looking into the figure, who can
Actually,
tell
I
me?
didn't hear. Say that again.
You can tell that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field with the magnetic field along the direction of the first finger, current along the direction of the second finger or middle finger, then the direction of the force experienced by the charged particle is in the direction of the thumb. So that is Fleming's left-hand rule. And we use this rule here in order to explain in which direction the charge carriers will move here. Okay, now let us learn in detail about Hall voltage, let us derive an expression for the Hall voltage. Okay. So let us get an expression for the Hall voltage. So due to Hall effect, as opposite kinds of charges are accumulated at two ends of a conductor. We already saw how due to Hall effect, opposite charges are accumulated at two ends of a conductor. What happens when there are opposite charges? For example, here looking to this figure, here the direction of current is given here in this direction, and there is a magnetic field upwards. Current and magnetic field are in perpendicular to each other, and this is a piece of conductor placed in the magnetic field, and it is carrying a current I. So what happens? Force will be experienced by the current carrying materials or the charge carriers here. Suppose the charge carriers are electrons, then what will happen? Here I'm telling, suppose the charge carriers are electrons, because when Hall effect and this Hall voltage was discovered, electrons were not discovered. So the scientists didn't know that it was electrons which are following, carrying the charges. That's why I'm telling, suppose electrons are carrying the charges, then they will experience a force, a magnetic force, which you told me is F is equal to QVB sine theta. So due to that force, what happens? The electrons will go and accumulate on one side, and on the other side, the positive charge will go and accumulate, right? So if there is a positive charge on one side and negative on the other side, what will exist in between them? An electric field. So what will be the direction of the electric field? Always from positive to negative. Okay. So what happens to the electrons if they are placed in an electric field? What happens? The electrons will feel an attraction towards the positive charge. Because they are in an electric field, they will always experience a force opposite to the electric field. So we are going one step further. Already the Hall effect occurred. Already there is current flowing through a conductor. We place that in a magnetic field. The charges got accumulated in their opposite side. Now these charges, the electrons, they will experience a force towards the positive charge, or they will experience a force opposite to the electric field developed due to the accumulation of these charges. That is expressed by Fe. So due to Hall effect, as opposite kinds of charges are accumulated at two ends of a conductor, an electric field would set up opposite to the opposite charge to the negative charge, from the positive charge to the negative charge. So electric field is always from positive charge to negative charge, and due to this electric field, the electrons will experience a force opposite to the electric field. That is, the electrons will experience an attractive force towards the positive charge. So here you can see there is one force due to the magnetic field, Fm, magnetic force. F is equal to QVB sine theta in one direction. Here it is towards the left. And there is another force experienced by the electrons, that is attraction towards the positive charge, or force against the electric field which was newly developed. So this both force acts upon an electron in opposite direction. Now the electrons are in confusion because they should move in the direction of the magnetic force, and they are at the same time experiencing a force in the opposite direction. So it's like a tug of war between these two forces, the magnetic force and the electric force. So due to this, which the magnetic force and electric force on the electron is in opposite direction. So when their magnitude becomes equal, an equilibrium is established, and the electrons will no more deflect. So once they accumulated, they will have a little more motion. okay, due to this attractive force of the opposite charge. And then what happens? They comes to a equilibrium and the electrons will no more deflect. So a steady state is occurred whenever this Fm and Fe are equal. So
Teacher,
now, yes,
what if Fe is greater than Fm?
if Fe is greater than Fm, what happens? There will be more force, and what happens? This potential will reduce. Electrons will move. But anyway, this Fe happen only because of the electric field developed due to Fm. So there is less chance that Fe will be more than Fm. Okay. Initially, Fe will
Yes,
be
teacher.
0. There is no Fe here. All Fm will be there when we place the current carrying conductor. So the electrons move, and now Fe starts developing. From 0, it increases until Fe becomes equal to Fm. So there is less chance that Fe becomes more than Fm because it was caused due to Fm, right? Due to Fm only, the electron moved to one side and the electric field developed, and then the force due to electric field. Is that clear, Irfan? So there is no chance that Fe will become more than Fm.
Yes, teacher,
So
it's clear.
it's clear now. Okay. So now we already learned that Fm, the force due to magnetic field, is Q into V into B. Here I have represent Vd because it is drift velocity. We already learned that when current passes through a conductor, the average velocity of the electron is called the drift velocity. So here I want to remind you that it is the velocity of an individual electron, or the average velocity of the electrons which are moving. So I have represented it as drift velocity Vd. And QVB sine theta is there, but velocity of the electrons, which will be opposite to that of current, and B are perpendicular. So theta is 90, so I can put sine theta as 1. So QVB. Then Fe is the force due to electric field. You have already learned in electrostatic. It is Q charge into electric field E. And this electric field, you know, is developed due to the Hall voltage. And it is VH by D. What is D? D is this width, distance between the two ends of the conductor, or it is the width of the conductor, this distance. So electric field is equal to potential divided by distance. So VH by D. So here in equilibrium, Fe will become equal to Fm. So here I have substituted for Fe Q VH by D. So Q VH by D, and instead of Fm I have written Q VDB. So Q gets cancelled, and we got an expression for VH by taking D to the other side. So we got the Hall voltage is equal to BVD into D, where VD is the drift velocity. Now you have learned before that in terms of the drift velocity, you can represent current I is equal to NAVD into E, or VD is equal to I divided by N, A and E. Is this clear to you? Do you remember this expression for current in terms of drift
Yes,
velocity?
teacher.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I have done here is, instead of the drift velocity, I have substituted I by NAE. So you have to memorize this equation for the Hall voltage. So Hall voltage is equal to BID by NAE. What is
Teacher, the
VD?
class will end now.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, what is N? I haven't given it here. What is N? Who can tell me what is N? What is N?
Number of electrons per unit